Welcome to the Train Like a King podcast, your go-to source for all things paddling. Get inspired to hit the water with expert insights and motivation. Visit Train Like a King for training plans, paddles, merchandise, and more. Don't miss out. Follow and subscribe to stay tuned for every episode. Kia ora guys, Tupuria King here. Welcome back to another Train Like a King podcast episode. It's definitely been a minute, and it's been a minute, so I just wanted to jump on and get the ball rolling again because, I'd like to try and keep it consistent for you guys, but I haven't been very consistent in dropping podcast episodes lately. Been quite busy, to be honest, with the lead up to Worlds and Hilo and work and lots of other things. So, haven't really done a podcast for a few weeks now. But I just wanted to jump on here and get the ball rolling again. So maybe talk about a few, what's happened, what's coming up, and where we are with Train Like a King and other things. So no real true structure to this podcast. So I'm just going to get the ball rolling. And I think the last episode I talked about the solo. So I was leading into the Molokai solo. So maybe I'll start with that and how that went and my thoughts. So the Molokai solo was one of the biggest conditions I've ever seen for the solo. I think it was a record, definitely record times, but just the size of these waves and swells in the middle of the Molokai channel was insane, the Kaiwi channel. Now, I never really put a prediction, like a placing on the paddlers for the race, but I definitely named a lot of the top contenders. Now, I remember saying that Pat Dolan he's a bit of a dark horse in the sense that you don't see him on social media. You don't see him putting in the hours and the time. You only see him come to the race. But I think with Pat, he doesn't do the race unless he is ready, So I remember making a comment about Pat Dolan signing up for the OC, being in for the OC, having had a couple of good performances prior to the solo. I knew that it was, he was gonna give it a good go, but it just, the way that it unfolded, Pat, similar to the year that he won, he went his own line, the southern line again this year, and the line definitely paid, but his physical fitness is the craziest thing. Like, his form from the start to the finish just looked incredible. Like, he just didn't lose power, didn't lose strength, just stayed strong the entire time. And there was that moment there, where Kevin and Tristan were pretty much in line with Pat. Pat was still further south than them, but you could see it in both Tristan and Kevin's eyes, or their body language, that it was time to go. Like, there was an hour to hour and a half left to go, and if they didn't get to China before Pat, it was over. And you see Kevin and Tristan both put the hammer down for a moment. Kevin was kind of first. I think he was kind of trying to close the gap on Pat. But then you can kind of see the energy levels die a little bit. And then Tristan went for it. And it was a solid hour where he was just putting the hammer down. Pat, being Pat, he just didn't give an inch. He still looked like he was surfing the best out of all of them, because it was looked quite difficult. It was massive, but it didn't look easy to surf. It was probably to the point where it was so big that you just don't know quite what to do on the wave, because it can do anything. It's not just a consistent riding, connecting. It was just like a lot of like stop and start, explosive efforts, sometimes explosive efforts for nothing. But it just seemed like Pat just had it down. And he has that experience in that big water stuff too, both on the OC and the surf ski. So he has the knowledge and the skill to operate in that big stuff like that. I think even just having the understanding of the surf ski is massive, because the surf ski, you learn new paths, new speeds, so big ups to Pat. That was an awesome race to watch. A lot of the guys who went north early, who likely would have been good contenders as well, Manutea, Danny, Ryland and the lot. The Northern Line sounds like it didn't pay off as much. And so big ups to Pat and Kevin and that, because last year the Northern Line was the go. and Kevin made the mistake of going south. So to back up going south again, even though the previous year the Northern Line was on, that takes a bit of skill. That takes a bit of smart, like being smart, not just relying on previous year stuff. It's like, I think Kevin knew Pat knows what's happening out there, so he probably tried to stick with him as much as possible. There was a few mishaps in that race. Steve, flipped and lost his drink system, and it was chaos for a lot of people. And but yeah, big ups to Pat for winning his second solo in an incredible fashion. So the other congratulations is to Lindsay Shank, who had an incredible race as well. Again, similar to Pat, just looked physically ready, physically fit, ready for the entire race, and looked strong all the way to the finish. So to come away with a win on Lauren, who has exceptional experience in surf like that, that's pretty special. So I know she's been working hard for that. So congratulations to Lindsay and to everyone that finished that race. It's amazing. I wish I was there, and just to experience it would have been amazing. So that was that race. That was awesome to watch. Big ups to the Kingy Gilbert and that for getting what they could to us in terms of live coverage. I know it wasn't easy out in there. They lost a lot of equipment, and just, I don't think the camera and video footage gave it justice just to how big it was. There was a couple of videos that came out after, and it just really showed how crazy it was out in that channel. Anyway, moving on. What else has happened? What other races? I mean, not a lot of races has happened since then. However, I will talk about the race just gone on the weekend, and that was the Sace Va'a Race, because this one is a biggie. It had a pretty crazy amount of paddlers on the start line. It takes me back to the OG Tahiti race days, where there would be 700 paddlers on the start line. And Kaiwi Solo comes away with a win. Now, looking at the conditions prior to the race, I think I had an idea that it wasn't going to be massive surf. So this is kind of where guys like Kyle, guys like Brees, flatter water paddlers can pay off for them compared to big surf. Steve, Kevin, Manutea, these types, they can operate really well in that tricky stuff. So seemed like it was anybody's game. But yeah, big ups to Kaiwi Solo for winning the Sace Va'a Race. Second, I believe, was Tupuria, I believe. And then third was Steve Tehutata. And then I think they took a few people up on the podium, probably 10 paddlers, I think. And I don't know the official results, but I seen Kevin up there, Hotu. And so, yeah, big ups to them. And then I know that there's the Aito coming up this weekend as well. So, yeah, that was exciting. The next race on the calendar is the Gorge downwind champs. Now, it's looking more and more likely that I probably aren't going to partake this year. Apologies, guys, but that would be an awesome one to watch out for. Well, I know a lot of the Tahitians go over for this one, the Hawaiians, Californians. So yeah, it's always a good one. It's a good race, and hopefully there's some better downwind conditions compared to last year, because it's another place that's known for its surf. So yeah, hopefully you can get a few good conditions over there for that one. And then, guys, the one that I'm really focusing for, and I know that a lot of you are focusing for, is World Sprints in Hilo. So it's not even that far away. It's 10 weeks, if that, away from Hilo. And yeah, we're steady building back here in Aotearoa. What I will say about the sprints is it should be a really good one. I think it'll be a really good one in Hilo. You know, I think the last time was in Hilo was 2004. So it's good to be going back to our Hawaiian cousins and having the event there, and it's going to be really good, and really excited. So yeah, only less than 9 weeks away. So guys, I was just about to plug my training plans just here, but while I'm at it, like, yeah, if this is the last time that you can, well, I do have a 4-week tune-up that you can do 1 month out from the Worlds. However, if you are still wanting to make the most of your time between now and Hilo, let's say you might have only just got notice that someone might have pulled out of Worlds and now you're in the 6-man, or you've got the V1 spot and you're like, oh, I'm going to go now, but I need to prepare. The 8-week training plan is perfect because it's 8 weeks of training with 1 week taper. So if you started that this coming Monday, that's the perfect, ideal little build up for Hilo, and it'll give you enough, you know, to enough time under your belt to make a difference, and some good quality structured training there to really help you peak and really sharpen your sword. Your sword might be a little bit blunt at the moment, but you know, by the peak phase, few sprints and max accelerations and, you know, VO2 max workouts, these types of things, this will really tune you up and get you ready and firing for race day. So go on the website, check it out. You can sign up to one of our plans. At the very least, 4-week tune-up is probably all you need. I think if the gorge is 4 weeks away, then you can probably do a tune-up for the gorge as well, if needed. So that's pretty much the main races that I've got on the calendar, or on my mind anyway. Well, Hilo for me is the main one. Haven't really looked too far beyond Hilo yet, but there are some opportunities there, but I'll save that for another podcast. Got a few notes here. So yeah, highlighted the recent competitions coming up, notable performances. What about a little bit of a review for the World? So the event is in Hilo, obviously, Hilo Bay. The significance of this event, I guess, is that it's been, 20 years since the Worlds have been there. I don't know all of the countries that are going, but I think it's going to be a pretty high number, pretty high number of paddlers there. I don't know if it's going to break the record or not, but I assume most people want to go to Hawaii. I do know that there's a race 1 week after, which is the Queen Liliuokalani. So a lot of paddlers will probably be staying for that, because that, I think, arguably gets the highest number of paddlers in any race in the world, believe it or not. Training tips and insights. So training tips for Hilo. You have to be both unspecific and specific. So yes, you can just do 500 meter sprints from now to Hilo, but it's not really going to fast track you to the performance. So breaking things down, doing doing workouts that are shorter than the 500 meter or longer than the 500 meter are going to train different elements along the way, going to make it less boring. And when you pull it all together at race day, you've broken down the training, you've trained each different system, so that when you do focus that race specific stuff in the last few weeks, you're going to really peak for the event. There's only so many 500s you can do before you kind of just get bored of your training. So yeah. Other training tips is probably just listening to your body along the way. You definitely want to push yourself. That's how you break plateaus, but you want to listen to yourself, your body, and feel free to skip a session here or there, or replace a harder session with an easier session, and be flexible. Be willing to, switch workouts around, do ones in the morning or in the afternoon, do sessions on the erg, all this type of things. You have to be a bit flexible. And then recovery. So recovery is really important. So, nutrition is number one. Eating right, eating enough, staying hydrated. Sleep, really important. Sleep so that you recover. Mobility, stretching, these types of things. The more you cater to these things, the better the outcome of your training will be, and then thus your performance. So really hone in on those types of things in the lead ups to Hilo. That's the biggest thing. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to talk about in this podcast. This is just a podcast to get me going again. I think the next one will have a little bit more structure. We're looking to bring Conan Herbert on to discuss Thai paddles, the different blades available, the different makeups, and yeah. So I've got the Ruau Moko design from the Ariki series, our collaboration with Thai paddles behind me. Awesome blade, awesome blade. And yeah, check out our website for all the merchandise and training plans, and look forward to catching up on the next podcast. If you have any ideas that you want me to cover, let me know. And yeah, ka kite, catch you on the next one.